Welcome back. Meditation time. I think it is most appropriate today to talk about how to handle moral outrage. It does seem like an appropriate time to talk about that, doesn't it? I will turn off the comments so that we can just focus on ourselves. I'm pulling some information from a book called Oneing. It's actually a serial. And this is an old issue on anger. You've got Roshi Joan Halifax in here. You've got Mirabai Starr in here. I wonder if you could get your hands on it. But the key thread is the need for some sort of contemplative practice to manage the insanity of current events. The deeply, deeply disappointing injustices that continue to rage throughout our time. So we have a meditation practice today, of course, and I also have a few notes on managing anger, which I think is a really important conversation right now. A lot of our mental real estate and emotional real estate is being held hostage by the tension in the air, by the falsehoods that are being perpetrated throughout the media that we see every day. We can't even help it. Our work is to create a very strong connection to ourselves, as we spoke about last week, to our essential first nature, which is that of love. And I don't mean this in a poetic sense, I mean this in a very realistic sense. And to practice being very quiet, very calm, and very deliberate with the words that we use, the information that we send about. So we'll start with a practice and then we can talk a little bit more. Go ahead and close your eyes when you're ready. We'll be maybe about 11, 12 minutes. It's usually how long we go. And as you close your eyes and get yourself settled into a nice, comfortable seat, begin to grow your spine and feel the presence of all of the other folks who are here, both in this moment and then in time, sitting with you. The discomfort that we all feel, and also the knowing that we all feel. This combination that leads to a place of deep trust in ourselves. The path to that trust can often be extremely uncomfortable. As you begin to get a little more tall in your spine and settled into your seat, begin to gather your attention every time you breathe in, as though you're pulling it from all the parts of the room in which you're sitting, pulling it from all the different realms of your life, and just letting all of that information rest as you exhale each time. Inhaling to gather yourself and exhale to settle yourself. See if you can grow the length of the breath. So now inhaling for, let's say, 4 counts or 5 counts, and exhaling for the same amount of time. And feel your system slowly but surely steadying itself. As you continue to breathe here, begin to create for yourself, connect with the motivation, the reason why we sit. We sit so that we can be not just steady for the world, but steady for ourselves. We sit so that when we're steady for ourselves, we can presence all means of suffering. And we can do so with a calm interior space, a space that provides comfort for others. The ultimate reason for our sitting. As you notice the errant thought going by your mind space, you can go ahead and simply return your attention to your breathing, knowing that that ephemeral event will pass. And realizing that there is, in fact, a part of you that can see those little thought events coming and going and distracting and then leaving you alone. And it is on that aspect of your being, that part that can note and observe, it is there that we rest our attention. It is there that we bring our hearts to that place that can watch from a gentle distance. Place within you that is always restful. See if you can lengthen your exhalations now, resting your attention on that aspect of your being that can see everything happening. And lengthening your exhalations, quieting your system. We'll take about 5 more breaths together. Big full breaths here in this quiet space before we do a touch of breath work. Bring your chin down towards your chest and take a moment there to commit to yourself, to this very deeply peaceful place within you. Returning your attention there anytime you need to. And then slowly lifting your chin, blinking your eyes open. And let's go ahead and take your right hand, and I'll show you from the back just so you can make sure that you have your right hand. Fold the first 2 fingers in and bring that hand in front of your face. And you can sort of rest, ring finger on the edge of your left nostril, thumb on the edge of your right nostril, smile. And take both nostrils, deep inhalation in. I'm going to give you the close-up here. As you exhale, block your left nostril and exhale out your right. I know you're seeing this as my right, I apologize. Inhale through the right nostril. Close and block both. Slide the ring finger down, left nostril, and exhale left. Take about 5 rounds here. Inhale left. Closing both. And gently exhale right. Feel things loosening inside. Inhale right. Softening. Close and block both. Exhale left. Inhale left. Closing both. You'll notice you have a little more space now to breathe. And then exhale right. Bring your navel back to your spine as you fully exhale. Inhale right. Gently close both. Release left. Navel to spine. Really, really press all the air out. Good. Inhale left. Closing both. And exhale right. So final round. Inhale right. Closing both. And exhale left. Inhale left. Closing both. And exhale right. And as you finish that exhalation, Really press all the air out of your right nostril and release that hand down onto your lap once again. And just take a couple of moments here with eyes closed, breathing naturally. And focus primarily on the feeling tone of your brain. Feel just a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing. Actually make more space. Seem to lighten things. Ease the weight. Good. And then once again, slowly blink your eyes open and come back. It's a real privilege to be here. I do have a reading for you that I want to share today. It's a really incredible essay from Josh Radnor in this book, this edition of Wanting. Sorry, I know you see it backwards. It's volume 6, number 1. It's a publication of the Center for Action and Contemplation. Tremendous collection of essays. I forget where I got it or how I got it, but I'm so glad I have it. It called to me from the bookshelf this morning. Saluting the Divinity in You is the name of the essay. You may be able to look it up online. Saluting the Divinity in You by Josh Radnor. And he goes through several paragraphs of the deranged calculus that was the year 2017. Many things that happened that year. But that very, very deranged calculus could also be applied to right now. There's a word, he says on page 48, there's a word I hope will be liberated from the clutches of cliche. That word is namaste. The word tends to conjure up images of new agers bowing to each other after yoga classes, but like with all cliches, there's a big beating heart to the thing in its original state. The translation of namaste is one of infinite depth, and it means that the divinity in me salutes the divinity in you. And here we have an antidote to objectification. And I think this is the most important part of this conversation. How do we not objectify the people with whom we do not agree? How do we cease objectifying the people with whom we do not agree? This is something infinite, immortal, mysterious, loving, and alive that abides in me. And it is from this light that I bow toward that which is infinite, immortal, mysterious, loving, and alive in you. Are we not tasked to do that for the people with whom we disagree as well as the people with whom we agree? This is my work. What if this, Josh continues, what if this was our set point, our baseline, the fundamental assumption we had about every single person we encountered? All our reputations precede us. We're divine. And when I speak of divinity and spirituality, puts both in quotes, please know, this has nothing to do with texts, codes, or churches for him. Here's how I loosely define spirituality for myself. Understanding that reality constitutes more than we can detect with our 5 senses, that the source of all creation is also the source of goodness, virtue, truth, that this source is on our side, and that we can align ourselves with this source and draw upon its power. I call this source God, he says, but I'm sympathetic to the widespread allergy to the word. Call it what you like. I don't believe God to be a being, by the way, he says. I think of God as more verb than noun. To me, God is energy, dynamism, flow, and good. Mystics from every tradition testify to the aliveness and sentience of all things, that the natural world is lit up with the flame of divinity. This does and must include all of us. We're not taught this. In fact, most of what we're taught opposes this. Thank you, Josh. I'll continue just with a few more paragraphs of his. There's an urgency to this moment. We must choose between a world of subjects and a world of objects. To acknowledge the divinity of another, we must first accept our own, which is not nearly as easy as it sounds. We must first accept our own divinity, which is not nearly as easy as it sounds. You have a bunch of folks in your life who are making a different choice than you. We're all going through that right now, right this second. How can you see the divinity in them? How can you see that what they're thinking is probably just fear-based, but also love-based? They might just be worried and afraid. Goes for both sides, doesn't it? Lastly, many of us carry a kind of unspoken assumption that something is very, very wrong with us, and that we're damaged and guilty and unlovable. Stepping into our divinity, acknowledging and accepting our fundamental nobility, is the ultimate paradigm shift. I speak to all of us when I say this. We cannot continue with business as usual. Shame cannot coexist with divinity. We cannot serve two masters. He closes by saying that namaste, that word, the ancient tradition and all of the teachers and teachings that live in that word, held by that word, asks something huge of us. If the divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you, how could I abuse, debase, violate, or harass? Because I would, after all, be only punishing myself. Think about this when you go and try and convince someone of your opinion, right as it may be for you. Think about this when you try and judge someone for believing something other than what you believe, right as it may be for you. Maybe it's a time to just focus on what is divine in each of us and just be saluting that for right now. And in closing, from me, I'll say, don't do anything you don't want to do. Don't do anything that your body says not to do. Your body's giving you information all the time. You can listen to it. You can trust it. Thank you so much. Thank you to Josh. Thank you to the Center for Action and Contemplation. Thank you for this wonderful volume, Oneing, O-N-E-I-N-G, volume 6, number 1. It's a publication of the Center for Action and Contemplation, and a wonderful resource for all of us. The following essay after that is by Joan Halifax, Moral Outrage and the Stickiness of Anger and Disgust. It's excerpted from her book, Standing at the Edge, which I would recommend for us all right now. Thank you.